everybody, and welcome again to this week's version of Mayors and Supervisors Updates. I'm Chris Carosa, publisher of the Mendon-Honeoye Falls-Lima Sentinel. Of course, we cover lots of areas, so we've got lots of mayors and supervisors on the line to tell us what's new and happening this week in the respective towns and villages. So let's start with Jerry over in Rush. How's things cooking in Rush?
Well, things are just beautiful, Chris. Look outside and look at the weather. They've got to be beautiful. We have just, well, today we will complete our second week of appointment-only business conduct, and we have been incident-free. So that means next Monday, the 15th, we will go to walk-in service. If people want to conduct business, they can just walk in the town hall. There will be requirements, masks, there will be hand sanitizers, there will be a sign-in sheet, but basically it'll be go in as you want and conduct and leave. I think most people in Rush are excited because we're going to have our restaurants reopen soon. You know, that means a lot to Rush. We only have 3. It's not like some of the burgs around us where you have a big choice. We've got to, we've got to take advantage of the 3 we've got, and we're looking forward to that. We're also looking forward to the playgrounds reopening because a lot of little kids use them, and a lot of mothers with kids during the day go down there, and we're going to take full advantage of that. And I've been reading the sanitizing requirements or suggestions, and I've passed that on to our recreation director. So hopefully come next week, everything will be on track. Maybe not the way it was before, but it'll be close. And we're all looking forward to that.
Sounds really good. Do you have any sense for when the restaurants might be opening up? Have they told you at all?
I asked the code enforcement officer this morning. He did not indicate that. He just informed me that they've all complied with the opening plan requirement. They're documenting what they're going to do to comply, what they're going to do to space, et cetera, but I don't have an actual date. I suspect next week it'll all happen.
Excellent. Very good. Okay, moving on to the town of Lima. Mike Falk, the Lima supervisor. What do you got going on there?
Okay, the town hall will be open, doors unlocked on Monday. Folks do not need to call for an appointment anymore. Same drill, mask, sanitizer, all that other stuff. As far as Livingston County goes, we heard from Senator Schumer's office that the federal stimulus packages that are being considered are going to be tabled and won't be taken up probably until after the 4th of July recess is done, which probably makes the chances of getting anything like that, which was direct funding to local municipalities, fairly slim. Livingston County's local emergency orders have expired, and the county state of emergency expires today, and those are not going to be renewed for the foreseeable future. The Livingston County Government Center is open. Traffic was light this week. The DMV guidelines are coming out, so next week the DMVs will be open on a limited basis, it looks like. We're waiting to see what the next sales tax draw looks like. Officially, it will hit the county on Monday.
Oh, okay.
So otherwise, that's what we have.
What's that sales tax draw? What period does that cover?
Should be monthly.
Monthly, okay. Okay. Very good. All right. Turning it over to Rick Milne, Mayor of Village of Honeoye Falls. How are we doing there?
Good, Chris. It's nice to see everybody. Appreciate everyone's time. You know, really, I think some of this is really a repeat of what Jerry and Mike are talking about as well. And I mean that in a very good way. I will say that our village, I think, I don't want to say we are behind in times, but we're a little bit slower approach to our reopening. So this coming Tuesday, June 16th, our village office will be reopening to our full-time hours, but we will still be by appointment only. We anticipate that for another couple of weeks. And then after those 2 weeks, and we get everything kind of back in motion, we will then have full-time staff manning or staffing those full-time hours, if you will. So for the next couple of weeks, we'll be open full-time hours, but it'll be half staff. The other folks will be working at home, and then they'll kind of split their days. But we're looking forward to getting open again. You know, I think it's a little bit of a struggle. Certainly, we haven't been bombarded by calls or by people that are trying to get in that can't. So I think that's why we're taking a little bit of a slower approach. And in our office, I know much like the other offices are as well, we don't have a very large office. So our people are really fairly close to one another. So we're just taking it a little bit slower from that standpoint. We also are looking forward to our playgrounds being reopened. They will officially open on Monday, even though the county has said, you know, or the state has said they're open now, or it's up to the municipalities. We have not sprayed them down. We have not sanitized anything. We will be following health department guidelines and state guidelines to the best of our ability. We actually just received some sanitizer material today for the playgrounds. We will be buying a fogger, if you will, a type of piece of equipment that will be able to spray down the equipment every week or whatever. But, you know, we are still going to be very, very vocal and trying to inform our residents that you should bring sanitizer with you. If your kids are playing on the playground, you should bring sanitizer, sanitize their hands and such before they go on the playground, sanitize them when they come off. It's just, we think it's just good policy. And really, when you're on the playgrounds, adults, etc., if you're by other people, you should still be wearing a mask. I mean, we're still in that mode where when you're out in public, if you're around other people, you should be wearing a mask. So we're trying to be vigilant in that. Our village board of trustees and our other committees will be going more to live meetings. Our meeting on Monday, on Monday, will be live, an in-person meeting for our village board of trustees and our staff. But anyone who wants to attend the meeting will still have to do so virtually. So we are not allowing the public into the meetings just yet. If we did have a controversial issue or you know, some sort of a public hearing that we thought we needed to, we would work around that. But right now, the meetings for the public will be virtual, and the meetings for our boards will be live as we move forward. And we hope that that'll only be another week or so. We're just trying to get everything back on track. You know, again, as you've already talked about, we're moving into phase 3 now. We're looking forward to our restaurants being open as well. Certainly, a lot of them have been doing takeout already, but not all. I do not have any kind of timetable as far as when any of the other restaurants will actually be open for indoor seating, but I know they're all going to do what's best for them. Like a couple of our hair salons, there was one that, you know, as soon as that red light, or the green light rather, was a go for the hair salons, you know, one of them opened and they were cutting. Another one decided to take another week to make sure that they had everything that they were comfortable opening up. So I think our restaurants are going to do the same thing as well. You know, I'm sure, I think as Mike or Jerry had said, you know, it'll probably be another week or so, but I would imagine another week they'll be at it. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention, and Supervisor and I were, Moffitt and I were on in a meeting today with our Monroe County Sheriff's B-Zone captain. We do have a Black Lives Matter rally in the village of Honeoye Falls tomorrow. It begins at noon. There will be people that will be walking. They'll be starting up near the Honeoye Falls Marketplace area, and they'll walk down to Harry Allen Park. There will be a parade of cars that, people want to take part in their cars. They will drive around the village beginning at around 12:15. And again, they will end up at Harry Allen Park as well. And then at around 1 or so, there will be a short or a program at Harry Allen Park. There'll be a few speakers and some discussion. So that's going to take place tomorrow. And we appreciate the people that are setting that up. And we hope that it goes well for them. We know it's going to be a ceremony that is peaceful and supportive of the community. So we're positive on that.
Great.
That's really about it.
All right. Just to follow up on your in-person meetings, I know that you're saying that it's still virtual for the public. My question is, when we get past this, are you going to keep doing them online so that anybody could see it? Or are you going to break that off at some point?
That's a great question, Chris. We've talked about that over the years. There are other municipalities very near to us or within, Monroe County for sure, like East Rochester and I think Pittsburgh or whatever. And they've got a little TV station that they work with that airs their meetings. And we haven't ever done that. We just haven't been into that situation yet. And I really don't know. I think there's merit to having the meetings done live because it gives those people that either can't get out of their homes or don't want to get out of their homes for whatever reason, an opportunity to sit in. So I think that's going to be a discussion that we're going to have. And if we can work with a scenario that is easy to use and that works for us, I think we may consider that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, at some point, you don't have to talk about it today, but the rest of you guys, let me know what your plans are in terms of doing that, because I think a lot of people might be interested. I don't know that you're going to make any ratings bonanzas, but, just having it available to the public, it's just one of those good things. If it's technologically feasible. I mean, there are logistics that make this difficult. It's not as easy as, say, a Zoom meeting will be.
Right, you're right, Chris, and it does. It has to be something that would be relatively simple to. And I know it's not as simple as this, but it needs to be something that you can just push a button and go and not worry about it, And so we'll see where that goes. But it's a great question, and I think we will talk about that.
Mm-hmm. Great, thanks a lot, Rick.
Thank you.
Todd, West Bloomfield. I know you're speaking to us from your remote sanctuary in Avon right now, but how's everything going in West Bloomfield?
Everything is going well. I think very much like the other supervisors and the mayor. Our town hall will start to be open on Monday. We're kind of splitting the difference a little bit. We're going to have the door unlocked. We're going to keep some of the signage on the building as far as information about the crisis and asking people or making sure that they're wearing masks, etc. We're going to continue to request appointments. Our town hall is not that big, and I just had a concern about number of people coming in the front door. 1 or 2 might not wear a mask, and I didn't want to have 3 or 4 people in a lobby not able to be socially distant. So we are going to at least continue to ask people to make appointments for the individual that they need to see. So if it's for a building permit or to talk to the assessor or something like that, so that they're able to actually just see that one individual and try to minimize the number of interactions. Our playground is currently closed. We don't really have enough staff to disinfect and clean the playground. The current guidelines, the way I read them, you need to do that on a regular and frequent basis. I can't really have the highway department out there 3 or 4 times a day cleaning the playground if people start to use it. So when we make a determination to allow people to start using the playground again, there will at least have to be some signage along the lines of, don't presume that the person ahead of you, kind of like the mayor just said, don't presume the person ahead of you took care of it. if you're going to use something, clean it yourself and then clean it when you're done. It's much better to have something cleaned twice than not cleaned at all. And it's the best way to protect yourself. So I would definitely be an advocate of that. Other than that, we are pretty much back to, full operation within the town. We're working on oil and stone projects with a couple of other municipalities, along with the highway department. And like Supervisor Falk said, for the Ontario County, we're looking for the sales tax distributions from the state. We haven't seen the April and May numbers yet. We have a presumption of an approximate 18 to 20% reduction in sales tax revenue, but not all of the businesses needed to report during the last couple of months. So even if the numbers are down, there still are businesses that may not be reporting their results yet. So it really won't be known until the July-August kind of time frame. Ontario County is back to relative operating, full operations. DMV, I believe, is going to start on Wednesday. Again, they are requesting appointments as well, and there will be sheriff's deputies at the door to make sure that the flow is controlled. The Canandaigua DMV is a relatively primary site for DMV operations in Ontario County. And I think that would be about it for me. And I'm happy to answer any questions in regards to the meetings. Our meetings, we have been doing them via Zoom. We will continue to do them via Zoom. I had a concern about the number of participants in a meeting, so that I didn't really want to close it off to the public and have 2 members of the public able to come in, and then we would hit 10 and then we'd have to have 2 people standing outside. That doesn't feel right, because then they wouldn't be able to get on the virtual portion unless they had a smartphone and were able to get on that way. Long term, we have talked about what things we're doing now that we will continue to do. And so there's a little hesitancy in regards to the virtual aspects of meetings, of the public that make an effort to come to a meeting versus those that log on to a meeting. How can they participate? And how do you kind of control that flow of responding to questions, more so for the planning board and the zoning board of appeals than the town board? The town board tends to be more, processing the bills and kind of more transactional, et cetera, where the planning board tends to have more discussion back and forth. So it's a little bit different from the different board perspectives, but we will continue to investigate that as we move forward.
Great. All right. Thanks a lot, Todd.
Thank you.
Next up, John Moffitt, Town Supervisor of the Town of Mendon. Looks like he's in his office there.
So we are still, we're operating on full capacity, full staff, both at Highway and Town Hall. However, the Town Hall is locked. It's by appointment only. And we are anticipating to basically unlock the doors and go back to what we all call normal on Monday, July 6th. That's the plan, unless there's something different health-wise that changes that scenario. As far our playing fields are now open, as far as softball, tennis, basketball, the rectangular fields for soccer, lacrosse on Summel Road, those are all open. We have not officially opened the playground at this point. We're still working through a few things, hope to have that open relatively soon. We had a town board meeting this past Monday in person at our community center because it's a fairly large area. We're able to accommodate about 30 some people with keeping all the 6 feet rules in place, and had people in masks and things like that. So we've had a town board meeting, a planning board meeting, and a zoning board meeting under those circumstances so far. So we're going to continue with that. I have been looking, because that building doesn't have internet access, I've been looking into internet access for that building so that we could do what you were talking about, Chris, is, obviously not only have people come and participate at meetings going forward, but also being able to get on the internet in some fashion to view and possibly participate in all the meetings that we're on. So we need to getting the internet in there, making sure that it's strong enough and those kinds of things. Those are some of the things we're working on right now. How we would record those meetings and make them available for people in the future if they want to go back and look at a meeting that took place a month ago or a year ago or whatever. That's something we're still working at, but that would be a goal going forward so that people could view those meetings as well as, of course, have access to the minutes.
Mm-hmm. If you need any help in terms of the technology on what you should be asking or looking for, let me know and I'll try to hook you up with Peter. He's the person I ask whenever I have those questions, since he's much more experienced at this than I am. And I know that there are ways to make it a lot easier, especially if you're just setting up things for the very first time.
Absolutely. So as far as highway goes, they're out doing road work right now. They've got some oil and stone, and they've also been doing some paving on Probst Road. So they've been out working on the highways, and we're just trying to get back to business as usual as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Hey,
Great.
Chris, could I ask
Sure.
John a quick question? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. And actually, this could go out to the other supervisors and such as well. But John, you were saying that the ball fields and stuff were open. Are those open just for like teams that want to practice or kind of non-official type use, or are they actually playing regular baseball games and stuff now too?
They haven't started playing regular baseball games, but they're going to start. I know one of the teams that's using the field is only using it for practices anyway, but
Okay.
softball folks and the soccer folks, as far as I know, are getting their schedule, modifying their schedule, and getting ready to. We put the nets up, so they're
Okay, great. Thanks. Because I think we're going to kind of move towards that same status as well with our parks. That at first we were thinking we're going to wait till July or so to maybe allow the scheduling to take place. Quite honestly, I think if we start doing the scheduling now, we have more control over who is using it, as opposed to just hodgepodge people showing up. So I appreciate that, John. Thanks.
Yeah, one of the things we do is they're obviously open to the public. Anybody can go down there. You don't have to be part of an organized team. You can go down there with a Frisbee if you want to. But if you want to reserve the field, then there's an application process that has to be approved by the town board. They have to provide us an insurance certificate, and then the field is reserved for their use on a particular day at a particular time. But they are open to the public. I mean, there's nobody there to say you can go down there and walk your dog or play Frisbee or anything else for that matter.
Yep. Thanks, bud.
Anybody else have any other questions or comments that they want to make? I will. I've got a note from Eileen, and I will either append it to this broadcast or maybe see if I can get her to talk live. Same with John Purcell. Otherwise, thank you guys for being part of this update again this week. And again, this airs Sunday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, not in the morning. Hopefully we're asleep at that time. But we will see you again next week.
All right,
So
take
long.
care, everybody.
Thank you.
Chris.